Welcome. So in this video, I'm going to talk about everything I could find out about Corepunk characters, skills, abilities, and gear. It also includes information that has been confirmed as accurate via other sources such as the Corepunk AMA on Reddit, Discord, and the official forums. Now, this could have some inaccuracies, so let me know in the comments if you spot anything that is not quite right. And as you can imagine, given the fact that this game has not been released, it's not even gone into closed beta yet, some of the information could be subject to change. So if something is different when the game launches, then that is what it is. Before I continue, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel because I do not want you to miss out on any of the latest news, tips, and tricks for Corepunk. And hit that bell notification icon to make sure you're not late to the party. So there's a number of things to consider when making your character. The first one being what kind of hero. Now, it's been confirmed that there are going to be 12 heroes at launch, with 6 available during the closed beta test, and it's been confirmed that there will be new heroes after launch. From what I gather, these are the heroes that are available, or at least some of the heroes that are available. I couldn't find any information on any other heroes, so what's been confirmed is the Demon, the Champion, the Dwarf, the Bomber, the Paladin, the Orc, and I believe the Druid. When starting Corepunk, you'll be able to select from this list of heroes. Now, initially the heroes aren't assigned a class archetype, but each hero has got a slight inclination towards a particular archetype. This means that you'll be able to pick from one of the 3 weapon specializations that are assigned to each hero. As an example, these players here are actually the same hero, and in the case of this particular hero, you have the choice of a double-handed sword, a sword and shield, or a bow. Okay, so this particular hero is kind of geared towards the melee combat, maybe a little bit tanky kind of combat, and also ranged combat. So the typical archetypes that we have are tank, damage dealer, healer, and support. And I was interested to understand what the difference between sort of healer and support was, and it was clarified that the support will mostly work through control, slight healing, and buffs and debuffs. Now, when you pick the weapon specialization with your hero out of the 3, it doesn't mean you are limited just to that specialization. The others are usable as well, so you do have access to all 3 of these specializations. Now, the way that you access them is by unlocking them by leveling up your existing specialization. Now, it seems like there's 33 mastery points to be earned, and it looks like the points are linked directly to the level, so I've concluded that there's going to be 33 mastery levels in each of the specialization schools. Now, from what I gather, hitting the max level will allow you to unlock another specialization. The way that you actually change your specialization is going via a quest. So presumably after you've hit max level, you do a quest, you can change your spec, okay? And then if you wanted to do that again, you do the same quest and you can change it again. So that's the assumption. So this basically means that a player can always choose a new weapon specialization for the character and make a brand new item build. Now onto talents. So there's 9 branches of passive talents available, from which you'll be able to select any 3 in any combination. These are the talents that we know about. So there's the Warrior, the Mage, the Defender, the Hunter, Assassin, Medic, Support, Pathfinder, and Looter. And with each of these comes with a sort of a passive bonus, I guess, or a perk or a passive skill. In the case of the Warrior, you get 10% attack power. The Mage, you get 10% spell power. The Defender, 15% health. Hunter, 15% attack speed. The Assassin, 5% physical critical chance. The Medic gives you 15% outgoing heal. Support, 10% ability cooldown. Pathfinder, 10% mana or energy regeneration, and the Looter gives you 10% gold. So as you can see, the different talents give you a really good idea as to what to expect from them. So essentially, you can mix these up to make it your own. I mean, they're trying to think of the different amounts of combinations that you could possibly sort of pick here. There's going to be a lot of combinations there. So everyone that you're going to find in the game is going to be relatively unique. Although you can pick 3 branches of talents, it seems like they're not available to you all to begin with. Looking at this screenshot, it shows that this particular branch is locked until level 30. So it seems like that you're going to progress through the levels and then you're going to unlock the additional talent trees. Now, it could easily be the case that 2 talent trees are available right from the off, but it's entirely possible as well that it's staggered. So you could start off with 1, and then at level 15 you unlock another one, and level 30 you unlock another one. It could be you start with none of them to begin with, you get a little bit used to the game. At level 10 you unlock your first one, level 20 you unlock the second one. So it definitely seems like the staggered, and you're not going to be unlock them. So I expect you would be gradually progressing and building your power as opposed to having all the power at the very beginning of the game. Now, when it comes to actually deciding on which branches, talents that you're going to go for, one thing that you can't do is duplicate those talents. Each one that you pick has to be unique. So you can't have warrior, 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 or mage, 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 or looter, looter, defender, for example. So they all have to be unique. So that's one thing to bear in mind. So apart from that, it's been confirmed that there's no sort of limits on what branches you can choose, which is pretty cool. And as I say, you get a lot of combination and a lot of diversity from that. So within each branch, there are different abilities that you can level up, essentially. And the way you do this is by assigning points to them. And you earn points by performing quests or various tasks. And each branch has its own pool of points. So you can pop all your points into one particular branch, and then if you need to, you can reset them and respec that particular branch and not have to worry about affecting the other branches. So it does seem like you have to allocate a number of points into each tier in order to progress to the next tier. So it is very linear in that kind of sense. You can't just pop points anywhere. You have to progress through the branch in a somewhat specific order. Now, the other thing to take in mind is when you decide on a talent branch, you are locked into that talent branch. So once you've picked it, that's your talent branch. You've got it, you're stuck with it, you can't delete it. What you can do is you can swap it for a brand new one at a later stage in the game once you've reached a cap. Presumably this is level cap, or maybe it is when you have so many points in a particular branch. It's not 100% clear as to what the cap is, but when you reach a certain point, you can look to change it. So what you do is you go to an NPC and it will allow the change of the branch. So the branch that you've already leveled up, you keep, right? You never lose that. That's there. You've got that. You level it up, well done, put that in your back pocket, get a fresh one, okay? Your new branch will start from scratch. So if you had, say, the mage, the warrior, and the defender, and you finish up leveling up your mage and you switched it out for the looter, for example, then you keep all the points for your mage. That would be there, great. Your looter would start from scratch, so you'd have to start building that up again. And what you're actually doing at that point is you're really nerfing yourself, because you're losing all those points, and you can. Whereas previously you had like maybe 3 almost leveled up branches, now you've got 2 leveled up branches and 1 which is fresh, which is not benefiting you as much as against like starting a new character almost or something. And the other thing to consider is it's going to take you longer to level up that new branch than it was to level up the first set of branches. So it gets progressively harder each time you do this. And it seems like in theory you can go ahead and unlock all 9 of these branches, but it's going to get progressively harder to do so. So you might have unlocked, say, 4 or 5 branches perhaps as you're going on. You can only level up the 3 branches which are set as active at any one time. So the 2 that are not that you don't have active, you aren't able to level those up. You'll have to switch to those if you want to start focusing on those, which kind of makes sense. It does feel a little bit obvious, but I think it's definitely worth clarifying that point. Now, coming back to weapon mastery, if you actually get to the point where you are changing your weapon mastery, the specialization, this will essentially reset all of your talent branches, and you'll have to choose 3 new branches and select your talents again there. But what they've said is that you don't need to level up these branches again. So this is a little bit ambiguous as to what they mean, and it could very well be just a case of they haven't thoroughly explained how it's going to work, because there's 2 ways of interpreting this. It could seem like you have the option to, it's like a loophole almost, where you could have 3 branches and then you switch your weapon specialization and you can pick another 3 branches which you don't have to level up again, which essentially gives you 6 branches to level up. But honestly, I don't think that is what the meaning of this message was. I think that what that means is it just takes all the points out of all of the branches, the talent branches that you've had, and it allows you to pick, which of these ones that you've already previously picked again, or maybe it will let you pick some fresh ones, but it will start from scratch. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it'll be a case of you pick from the branches that you already have had leveled up, and then you'll just have to reassign points to them. So there is a little bit of a question mark over how that will work, but I think the way that I've explained it probably is the most likely. Otherwise, it just feels a little bit of, like I say, a loophole in the game mechanics to be able to level up 3, then change your spec, and then 3 more, and then change your spec and level up the final 3. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to do that way, because that would basically make the idea of each one taking longer to level up redundant, but we'll see. So in terms of leveling up, the maximum level is actually level 40, and it's said to take between 80 and 100 hours to hit that cap, which is really interesting to know that. Okay, let's look at gear now. So in terms of the gear that is available, we have weapons, artifacts, and cosmetics. So weapons and artifacts both have passive and active, or they can have passive and or active abilities. And when I mean active abilities, I'm talking about like damage skills or sort of short-range teleportation skills. You may know it as a blink ability in some MOBA games, speed buffs, so on and so forth. So the artifact active abilities are generally weaker than the main abilities, but they do play a significant role. I guess it's sort of something to add a little bit flavour and spice to the situation. So those things are really nice to have. Keeps combat a little less sort of linear and scripted, and adds a little bit of spice to the situation. So it's been confirmed as well that there's going to be artifact sets that give bonus stats and other effects as well. So that's really cool to think that you can collect a number of different items within a set and then get that extra little bonus effect. It's always something nice to work towards. One thing that was asked was about actually stacking item stats. So if you've got, say, an artifact with like 3 attack speed modifiers on there, would those modifiers essentially stack together? So if you had like a 15% artifact 3 times, would you get that 45%? They basically confirmed that there is going to be a hard cap and a soft cap, which essentially means that with a hard cap, you're not going to be able to progress past that maximum speed. So if they say like the attack speed hard cap was say 30%, doesn't matter how many items you stack on there with attack speed, you're not going to get past that particular point. The soft cap, this relates to sort of like a diminishing returns thing. So if you have like say with your attack speed, if you get 15% and you had say 3 of them, maybe when you got to the 30% mark, the next item would give you a little bit, but not a lot extra. So you might get sort of that 30, and then the extra 15% item gave you maybe 2% or something. So that's what like a soft cap basically means. So your weapons, these are tied to specific classes as described previously. Now, when it comes to sort of damages and resistances, there seems to be, well, they've confirmed that there's only armor and magic resist, which says to me that the only damage outputs that they're going to be in the game are physical damage and magic damage, which I like. It's nice and simple. You don't need to worry about like fire damage and ice damage and blah 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 blah. It all gets too complicated. Now the artifacts as well, they are global across everybody. All artifacts can be used by all, so there's no artifacts that are tied specifically to one kind of class or faction or some such. When it comes to cosmetics, cosmetics are both universal and some are specific for certain classes or group of classes. So all I can conclude with that is that there may be some kind of faction-related cosmetics, and then maybe some character. So maybe there's something that only the orc can wear, for example. So it sounds like there's a bit of a mixed bag there. So when it comes to actually acquiring items, some of the items are bind on pickup and others are bind on equip. Otherwise, everything else is tradable. If you're not sure what bind on pickup and bind on equip means, so some items that you could loot from a mob, if it's bind on pickup, that literally means that is yours now. You cannot trade it. You can basically destroy it or use it, and that's generally it. Okay, you might be able to salvage it, but we don't know about that mechanic yet. Bind on equip, very very similar. You can own it, have it in your inventory, trade it, but the moment you equip it, that's it, yours, can't change it. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. Otherwise, everything else is tradable, which is nice. Great for the economy there to be able to sort of trade these items that they're picking up, because it's entirely plausible that they could have kept it so it was all bind on pickup, because everything's global. Everyone can use every item, so it wouldn't really make much difference. But I'm glad they've done it this way. In terms of what the item looks like as well when you pick it up, I mean, I don't mean physically looks like, I mean the stats of the item. The item generation, they described it as very, very similar to what you would find in an action RPG, where the items will be generated with random stats, but although the stats are randomly generated, they're sort of guided. So you'll find that the stats are suitable for the items that you're picking up, essentially. So you won't find like an artifact which is suitable for a melee damage dealer with some stats on there that are only suitable for a completely different class. We've seen that in all games where, like say Diablo, for example, where that kind of random item generation comes in. You get something and it's like, yeah, that stat's great and that stat's great, but they do not work together. What is the point in this item? So it's really good that they're giving you that sort of guided kind of random generation. I really, really like that. Right, so in terms of sort of skills and artifacts, skills and such like, players have got 6 skills and 8 artifact slots. So every hero has 4 abilities, and then they've got 2 additional abilities, one that you can choose and 1 passive ability. So there's 2 weapon abilities and up to 6 abilities from your artifacts. So that means that you can have up to 15 abilities at once, theoretically. So moving on to professions. So apparently you're limited to the number of professions that you can actually have. I've not been able to see any confirmation as to exactly how many, but it's reasonable to assume that you may be able to have 1 or 2 or 3 or something, which is common in this kind of game, to have limited professions. So there seems to be 4 crafting professions and 4 gathering professions. So you've got the weaponsmith, the constructor, the chemist, and the mystic in your crafting profession. So your weaponsmith, as you can imagine, crafts weapons. Your constructor, that is related to the artifacts. Chemist, I'm not 100% sure as to what that's directly related to, so maybe like some consumables. Mystic, not a clue. If you have any idea what kind of things a mystic crafter would be crafting, then let me know in the comments, because all I'm thinking of is like crystal balls. I don't think that's going to be a thing, quite frankly, so yeah, let me know in the comments. Your gathering professions, you've got your skinner, your gatherer, miner, and lumberjack. So I think these are pretty self-explanatory, killing animals, skinning them. Gatherer, I don't know, maybe like cotton or something, reeds, herbs, flowers, things like that, I guess. Lumberjack, trees, makes a lot of sense. Now, whether these are classed as professions or not, I'm not 100% sure. I kind of feel that they fall into the category of professions. So you have a sheriff and a hitman. These are kind of roles which are sort of in the PvP realm, but not necessarily in the criminal side of things. So your sheriff's, you know what a sheriff is. Sheriff's like a good guy in charge of keeping peace and law and order and all that stuff. Hitman, I've seen mixed messages about this, but it seems like you can essentially contract somebody to kill somebody. Now, that could be something that is assigned to a player killer or a criminal, which would be pretty cool and would certainly incentivize the PvP side of things, but not 100% clear on the finer details. But I mean, Hitman, hello, that just sounds awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's phenomenal to be able to have that kind of role, just employ somebody to kill somebody. I love it so much. And one last thing that I know a lot of people will be well excited about, and I just want to say I am not bothered, quite frankly. I don't understand the fascination with this, but some people really seem to love this. Fishing. There will be fishing in this game, so if you're a fisherman, then great, you've got that. So let's move on to the last little bit in relation to sort of visuals. Originally the classes were gender locked. That has changed, so classes are no longer going to be gender locked, which is really good to see that you've got that choice. And can a character alter its appearance after it has been created? The answer to this is yes, it will be possible in-game. You'll be able to get recolors for weapons and skins by doing in-game activities. There was also talk in relation to the business model that there's going to be sort of an item shop which is related to the cosmetic side of things, so I would expect that you'll be able to make microtransactions for various cosmetic alterations and so on and so forth. So if that's your bag, then great, go nuts with that. Anyway, it has been an incredibly long video with a lot of talking. And if you've made it this far, then well bloody done for getting to the end of this video. I imagine I've probably earned your subscription at this point if you have got this far through. Let me know in the comments if there is anything that I said that is exciting for you, anything that wasn't clear, anything that was wrong. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would love to, build a conversation about everything relating to the sort of character creation. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.